I had my script and I had worked on it for days, and I was on one side of the street on the lot, walking to the interview, and on the other side of the street was Clint. Cancer, and was fighting this thing, and received over 25,000 pieces of hard mail. And like a dummy, I actually thought I was going to answer it all.
Most remember Robert Urich as the magnetic star who lit up screens in Spenser, For Hire and Vegas. The kind of actor whose presence seemed larger than life. He embodied resilience, charm, and quiet strength, qualities that made him a household name. But away from the spotlight, Robert faced a harrowing reality, one filled with pain, courage, and an unwavering bond with his wife, Heather Menzies. Their love was fierce, their struggle devastating. This is the heartbreaking story of how it all came crashing down. The unlikely journey of Robert Urich. Long before the glitz of Hollywood and the fame that would one day make him a beloved star, Robert Urich's story began in the quiet town of Toronto, Ohio. Born on December 19, 1946, in this small Midwest village nestled along the Ohio River, Robert was far from the entertainment world's bright lights and fast pace. At the time, he had no dreams of acting, no thoughts of red carpets, just a burning ambition and a deep interest in communication. A gifted student and natural athlete, Robert earned a 4-year football scholarship to Florida State University. It was here, under the southern sun, that he not only made his mark on the field, but also found a passion for storytelling. While balancing the demands of college football, he dove into a degree in communications, sharpening the skills that would later become his strongest tools as a performer. But life had other plans. A serious head injury cut short his dreams of an athletic career, forcing him to make a painful but pivotal shift. Rather than give up, Robert redirected his energy toward his studies, proving his resilience and determination. After completing his undergraduate degree, he pushed further, earning a master's in broadcast research and management at Michigan State University. He was quietly building something extraordinary, brick by brick. It's fascinating to realize that before he ever stepped onto a set or delivered a single line in front of a camera, Urich had already mastered the discipline, focus, and intellectual curiosity that would carry him through a demanding career in show business. His foundation wasn't built on fame, it was built on hard work, academic achievement, and an athlete's mindset. Robert's early journey is a powerful reminder that stars aren't always born under bright lights. Sometimes they rise from small towns, shaped by setbacks and fueled by an inner fire. What lay ahead for Urich would be more thrilling, and ultimately more heartbreaking, than he could have imagined. But what unexpected shift turned a small-town scholar-athlete into a Hollywood icon with a heartbreaking fate? Stay tuned to find out. A star is stirred. What lay ahead for Urich would be more thrilling, and ultimately more heartbreaking, than he could have imagined. Though he was armed with academic degrees and a solid sense of discipline, Robert Urich's entry into the world of entertainment didn't begin with fame or flashing cameras. In the early 1970s, long before he became a familiar face on millions of television screens, Robert was working a rather ordinary job as an account executive at world's greatest newspaper radio in Chicago. It was a stable career, far removed from the spotlight, and it didn't quite satisfy the creative itch growing inside him. He had a voice and presence suited for more than just selling airtime. But life, as always, had other plans. A turning point came when Robert was cast in a stage production of The Rainmaker, playing the younger brother of none other than Burt Reynolds. It wasn't just a role, it was a revelation. Working alongside Reynolds, who was already a celebrated star, awakened something deeper in Urich. The stage lights sparked a fire that had been quietly smoldering, and with Reynolds' encouragement, Robert decided to take a leap of faith. He set his sights on Hollywood. The move was bold, and the odds weren't in his favor. But Hollywood has a way of opening doors for those willing to knock long and hard enough. In 1973, his persistence paid off. Robert landed his first television role in the comedy series Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice. Though the show didn't last long, it marked his official entry into show business. For the first time, Robert was on camera. Not behind a desk, not in a lecture hall, but in front of an audience. It wasn't instant stardom, but it was the beginning of a path that would lead to something extraordinary. The bright lights of Tinseltown had started to shine on him, and even in those early days, there was something about Robert Urich that stood out. An authenticity, a quiet confidence, and a sense that he was only just getting started. But what chance encounter pushed Robert Urich from a radio desk to the heart of Hollywood? Keep watching to uncover the twist. The meteoric rise of Robert Urich. Even in those early television roles, there was something undeniable about Robert Urich. His charm, presence, and authenticity hinted at something greater. And it didn't take long for the world to notice. Just 2 years after his small-screen debut, in 1975, Urich landed the role that would skyrocket him into national fame. Officer Jim Street in ABC's hit action series Special Weapons and Tactics. The show was a cultural phenomenon, and Urich's performance turned heads across America. He wasn't just another face on TV, he was a star in the making. Then came Soap in 1977, a daring and wildly popular ABC comedy that broke television norms. Urich played Peter Campbell, a character who was both entertaining and complex. And once again, he showed audiences he wasn't a one-note actor. He had range, depth, and impeccable timing. Still, it was his unforgettable role as Private Eye Dan Tana in Vegas that truly cemented his place in television history. Airing from 1978 to 1981, Vegas wasn't just another detective drama. It was magnetic, stylish, and full of intrigue. And Urich, in the lead role, brought a perfect blend of cool confidence and emotional nuance. Dan Tana wasn't just a character. He was an icon, much like the man who portrayed him. As the 1980s rolled in, Robert's star continued to rise beyond the small screen. He took bold steps into film, showcasing his versatility with roles that stretched far beyond his detective persona. In 1984, he starred alongside Angelica Houston in the cult sci-fi comedy The Ice Pirates, an offbeat space adventure that blended humor, action, and imagination. That same year, he appeared in Turk 182 with Timothy Hutton, further proving that he could handle drama just as well as action and comedy. But television remained his true home, and in 1985 he returned with one of his most defining roles, Spenser, the sharp and principled private investigator in Spenser for Hire. The show, which ran until 1988, showcased Urich at his very best, intelligent, compelling, and utterly believable. Viewers were drawn not just to the mysteries, but to the man solving them. Robert Urich had arrived, and he wasn't going anywhere. But what unexpected bond formed behind the scenes of his rising fame and turned into a powerful love story? Stay glued. Robert Urich and Heather Menzies. Robert Urich had already carved out his place in Hollywood when another kind of story quietly began unfolding, one far more personal and powerful than anything scripted for television. While his professional star continued to rise, a love story was quietly taking shape, one that would not only define his life behind the scenes, but stand as a rare example of true devotion in an industry where lasting love is often elusive. Before this deep connection would take root, Robert had already experienced marriage once. In 1968, at just 21 years old and working as a radio advertising salesman, he married Barbara Rucker. It was a youthful union formed in the early days of his career, but as the pressures of life and ambition grew, the relationship couldn't withstand the strain. By 1974, the marriage had ended. Then, in a twist of fate the following year, Robert met someone who would change his life forever. It was 1975 when he crossed paths with Heather Menzies, a striking Canadian-American actress and model with a gentle strength that matched his own. Heather, too, had experienced her share of heartbreak, having previously been married to John Kitt, and her life, like Robert's, had taken unexpected detours. Their connection was immediate, almost cosmic. Two people from very different worlds, yet somehow destined to find each other. Heather was born in Toronto, Canada, to strict Scottish Presbyterian parents who had emigrated after the Second World War. Her family eventually settled in Los Angeles in 1960, where she pursued her passion for the arts. A graduate of Hollywood High School, she went on to study at Falcon Studios' University of the Arts, immersing herself in the creative world that would later shape her career. Though Heather had already found fame in her own right, especially beloved for her work in classic films, what set her apart was not just her talent, but the quiet grace with which she carried herself. She and Robert were like twin souls navigating the same chaotic universe, each bringing stability and warmth to the other's world. Together, they built something rare, a love that didn't fade under the spotlight, but instead grew stronger in its glow. But what unseen trials tested Robert and Heather's seemingly perfect love story? Keep watching to uncover the truth behind the romance. Trials, children, and the heart of a family. Their love had already captivated many, two souls drawn together not just by Hollywood lights, but by something deeper. After Heather Menzies married Robert Urich, she proudly took his surname, a symbolic step that marked not only a personal transformation, but also the beginning of a deeply intimate and emotionally rich new chapter in both of their lives. But as with many great love stories, theirs was not without pain. While the public saw a glowing couple, charming and inseparable, behind closed doors, Robert and Heather faced a heartbreaking battle, one they never expected. Like countless couples, they dreamed of starting a family together. But that dream was tested time and again. Heather suffered multiple miscarriages, each loss a silent sorrow, a private heartbreak they bore together. It was a time that could have weakened even the strongest bonds. But for Robert and Heather, it only deepened their resolve. Their love wasn't fragile. It wasn't dependent on ease. It endured. Determined to build the family they longed for, the couple turned their heartbreak into hope. Instead of surrendering to sorrow, they chose a path of profound compassion and unconditional love. They decided to adopt. And in doing so, they didn't just create a family. They created a home filled with warmth, laughter, and deep connection. In 1978, their first child, Ryan Urich, entered their lives. It was a moment that brought immense joy and a renewed sense of purpose. Just 2 years later, in 1980, they welcomed their daughter, Emily Urich, expanding their family and deepening the love that already bloomed in their home. Then, in 1988, came another precious addition, Allison Grady Urich, completing their family of 5. Their home became a sanctuary, not of fame and fortune, but of late-night lullabies, endless bedtime stories, shared meals, and memories stitched together by genuine love. Heather, who had once been fully immersed in her acting career, gracefully stepped back from the spotlight to embrace what would become her most treasured role, being a mother. She poured her energy into raising their children, guiding them with kindness and strength. It was a quiet shift, but a powerful one, showing that sometimes the most significant legacy we leave isn't on the screen, but in the hearts we shape. Interestingly, their son Ryan chose to walk a familiar path. Inspired by the artistry and integrity of his parents, he ventured into acting, appearing in films such as The Killer Inside and Night Walk. In doing so, he honored the legacy his parents built, not just in the industry, but in life. What makes this story even more surreal is how it all began. Heather and Robert met in 1974 while filming a commercial for Libby's corned beef hash, where they played a couple getting married. Neither of them could have guessed that just a year later, that staged wedding would mirror reality. They married in 1975 and went on to work together on numerous projects, including Special Weapons and Tactics, Vegas, Spenser for Hire, and the film Endangered Species. It was as if fate had woven their story long before they ever realized it, an unexpected beginning that grew into one of Hollywood's most inspiring examples of lasting love, resilience, and family. But what heartbreaking twist nearly shattered the family Robert and Heather built with such love? Stay tuned to find out. The brave battle behind the spotlight. As their love story blossomed behind the camera, the couple was quietly preparing for a battle they never expected. In 1996, Hollywood was stunned when beloved actor Robert Urich made a heartbreaking announcement. He had been diagnosed with synovial cell sarcoma, a rare and aggressive form of cancer that often goes undetected until it reaches advanced stages. For Urich, this diagnosis wasn't just a personal blow, it sent shockwaves through an industry that had long embraced his charm, talent, and resilience. At the time, Robert had been starring in The Lazarus Man, a Western drama on TNT that many believed would become one of his career's signature roles. But as the harsh reality of his illness set in, the show was canceled after only one season. It wasn't the creative vision that fell short. It was the looming uncertainty of Robert's health that cast a long, dark shadow over his future in television. Yet, true to his nature, Robert didn't retreat. He wasn't the kind of man to be defined by statistics or sidelined by fear. Instead, he channeled his inner strength, built through years of football, acting, and personal loss, into a courageous comeback. Just a year later, in 1997, he returned to television as the host of Vital Signs, an ABC medical reality series. It was more than a job, it was a statement, a declaration that he would continue doing what he loved, no matter how steep the climb. In 1998, he stepped back into the spotlight again, this time aboard the rebooted classic The Love Boat: The Next Wave, playing the role of the skipper. As he smiled from the deck of the fictional cruise ship, few could imagine the storm he was enduring behind the scenes. But that was Robert, calm, collected, and ever resilient. His presence on screen reminded viewers of his strength, even as his body fought a silent war. He kept moving forward, and by 2001, he was still taking on new roles. That year, he portrayed the antagonist in NBC's sitcom Emeril. His voice might have been softer and his frame a bit leaner, but his spirit remained as powerful as ever. Every appearance was a quiet triumph. Every line delivered was a victory over the disease trying to steal his voice. And through every hospital visit, every round of treatment, and every uncertain night, Heather was there. His constant companion, his anchor. Her unwavering love became the unseen force that helped carry him through the darkest days. Their bond only grew stronger as the fight intensified, turning their marriage into a powerful testament of what love truly means. Standing firm, even when the future is terrifyingly unclear. Despite the toll cancer took on his body, Robert never let it dim the fire of his passion. He continued to act in TV movies and special appearances, proving again and again that illness might bend him, but it would never break him. His performances during this time were filled with deeper emotion, as if he knew he wasn't just playing a character. He was telling the world that courage, hope, and love could still shine through even the most painful of circumstances. Robert Urich's journey with synovial cell sarcoma wasn't just a fight for his life. It was a story of defiance, of strength, and of a man who refused to be remembered only for his diagnosis. With Heather by his side and a heart still full of purpose, he continued to inspire millions, one role at a time. But what final moment in Robert Urich's battle left Hollywood speechless and hearts shattered forever? Legacy of a fighter. Robert Urich's story wasn't just one of talent and television. It became a deeply human tale of resilience and purpose. After battling synovial sarcoma for several years with sheer grit, Urich's unbreakable spirit only grew stronger. even in the face of unimaginable trials. And just when it seemed like the storm had passed, a new chapter unfolded, one that would redefine his legacy not just as an actor, but as a crusader in the fight against cancer. It was in July 1996 that Urich publicly revealed his diagnosis, a rare and aggressive form of cancer known as synovial sarcoma, which targets the body's soft tissues. For many, such news would bring everything to a halt. But Robert Urich wasn't one to give in. Despite undergoing intense and grueling treatments, he didn't step back from the spotlight. Instead, he turned his struggle into a mission. Urich went beyond the role of patient. He became a voice, a leader, and a powerful advocate for awareness, research, and early detection. With his wife, Heather Menzies, always at his side, Urich launched the Urich Fund at the University of Michigan Comprehensive Cancer Center. Their goal was simple but urgent: support vital cancer research and give hope to others walking the same difficult path. This wasn't a mere celebrity endorsement. Urich led by example, backing the cause with his resources. After appearing on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, he donated every cent of his $125,000 winnings directly to the fund. His unwavering dedication didn't go unnoticed. Honors poured in, among them the Gilda Radner Courage Award and recognition from the John Wayne Cancer Institute. These awards weren't just about survival. They were about strength, compassion, and selfless advocacy. And in 1998, when doctors declared him cancer-free, the American Cancer Society named him their national spokesperson. With newfound momentum, Urich used his platform to spread awareness, empower patients, and share one powerful message: cancer may alter your path, but it doesn't have to end your journey. But even the fiercest fighters can be tested again. In November 2001, Urich revealed that new lumps had been found. Still, his hope didn't waver. He spoke of a promising new medication and remained optimistic that he could once again beat the odds. Yet, just a few months later, in April 2002, his health took a sudden turn. He was admitted to Los Robles Hospital and Medical Center in Thousand Oaks, California, with serious breathing problems. On April 16, 2002, Robert Urich passed away at the age of 55. His beloved wife, Heather, along with their 3 children, were at his side in his final moments. A funeral mass was held on April 19th at St. Charles Borromeo Church in North Hollywood, a place filled with those who had laughed, cried, and grown alongside him through the years. His ashes were laid to rest at the family's peaceful vacation home in Prince Edward County, Ontario, Canada. A simple memorial now stands in Westlake Church of Christ Cemetery, nestled near that tranquil retreat. It is here, far from the bright lights of Hollywood, that the memory of Robert Urich quietly lives on, etched not just in stone, but in the hearts of millions who watched him rise, fall, and rise again, never losing the fire that defined him. But what final, selfless act did Robert Urich's wife perform that revealed her hidden battle and ultimate fate? Don't miss this. Heather's last role. Even after Robert Urich's passing, the spotlight didn't fade from the Urich name. Instead, it burned brighter through the unwavering devotion of his wife, Heather Menzies. Picking up the torch he had carried in his fight against cancer, Heather turned her grief into purpose. She established the Robert Urich Foundation, channeling her pain into action, raising vital funds for cancer research and offering support to patients and families in the throes of their battles. This wasn't just a tribute to her husband, it was her calling. Heather wasn't new to fighting battles of her own. Years earlier, she had quietly faced and overcome ovarian cancer. That personal experience only deepened her passion for advocacy. She poured her energy into helping others, becoming a relentless force in the fight against a disease that had stolen so much from her. But life had one more cruel twist in store. In November 2017, Heather was given a devastating diagnosis: terminal brain cancer. Just weeks later, on Christmas Eve, December 24, 2017, at 7:22 p.m., she took her final breath. She was 68 years old. Her passing was peaceful, surrounded by her children and loved ones. Her son, Robert Urich, remembered her not just as a mother, but as an artist, a graceful ballerina, and actress who lived life with vibrant intensity. Even in her final days, Heather displayed the same courage and dignity she had always shown. Together, Robert and Heather had created more than a family. They built a legacy. In Park City, Utah, the couple helped raise funds for the Eccles Performing Arts Center at Park City High School, where the stage became a place for young artists to dream. After Robert's death, the school honored his memory with the Robert Urich Scholarship, ensuring his name would be linked with creativity and promise for generations to come. Their impact stretched far beyond the arts. At the University of Michigan, they co-founded the Robert and Heather Urich Fund for Sarcoma Research. Their advocacy didn't just bring awareness, it changed lives, lighting a path for those lost in the darkness of diagnosis and fear. Even the roads bore Robert's name. In his hometown of Toronto, Ohio, a highway interchange was renamed the Robert Urich Interchange. And on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, at 7083 Hollywood Boulevard, his star still shines, one of the rare names beginning with U. For years, it stood alone, until the artist Usher was added beside him. Heather may be gone, but she is not forgotten. Neither is Robert. Through their children, their foundation, and the countless lives they touched, the legacy of Robert Urich and Heather Menzies continues, etched not just in stone or stars, but in the hearts of those who were inspired by their story. But what lasting gift did Robert Urich leave behind that would quietly shape his son Ryan's destiny? Don't miss what's next. The legacy that took root. That legacy, quiet, enduring, and deeply personal, was never more evident than in the way Robert Urich fathered his children. More than just a Hollywood icon, Robert was a present and compassionate dad. He wasn't the type to disappear behind the glare of studio lights or get swept up in the frenzy of fame. At home, he was Robert, the man who helped with homework, cheered from the sidelines, and showed up when it mattered. He built his life around his family, weaving love and care into the daily fabric of his children's upbringing. When Robert's cancer returned, it wasn't just another battle. It was a heavy, heartbreaking replay of a fight they had hoped was long behind them. At the time, their son Ryan was preparing to graduate from high school, a milestone that should have been filled with celebration. Instead, it was clouded by anxiety and sorrow. Still, the Urich family stood together like they always had. Emily, Allison, and Ryan mirrored the strength their mother Heather had shown years earlier, offering comfort, showing courage, and refusing to let fear eclipse love in their father's final months. Among the three, it was Ryan who felt most drawn to the world his parents had once ruled. He tried acting, appearing in films like Night Walk and The Killer Inside, dipping his toes into the same waters that once carried his father's fame. But something else tugged at his heart, a calling that had little to do with lights, cameras, or applause. Watching his father suffer, feeling powerless in the face of it, had left a deep mark. It sparked a desire in Ryan not just to understand illness, but to fight it. He made the difficult decision to step away from acting and pursue a life in medicine. It wasn't about fame anymore. It was about purpose. Today, Dr. Robert Urich serves as an infectious disease specialist with the Lovelace Medical Group in New Mexico. His career, shaped by his father's battle, has become a quiet but powerful tribute to the man who raised him. In interviews, Ryan has spoken candidly about that shift. "I couldn't save my dad," he once said, but I realized I might be able to save someone else. That clarity, born from pain, became the compass for his life. Emily and Allison, though less visible to the public, have stayed true to their family's values. They've built lives rooted in compassion, choosing privacy over spotlight, but carrying with them the grace and strength that defined their parents. The Urich children have never tried to fill their parents' shoes. Instead, they've walked forward on their own, guided by the footprints Robert and Heather left behind, footprints built on love, resilience, and a sense of purpose that still echoes today. But what lasting impact can a father's quiet courage leave on a son who once felt helpless to save him? A father's gentle strength. And perhaps no one felt that strength more deeply than Ryan, who today continues to share his father's legacy with the world. Of the three children, Ryan has been the most vocal about what it truly meant to be raised by Robert Urich. Not the TV star, but the man behind the camera, behind closed doors, who chose empathy over authority. Ryan often reflects on his father's way of handling life's tougher moments. He remembers times when he got into trouble at school, expecting punishment. But Robert didn't shout or scold. Instead, he got down on the floor at eye level and listened. He made space for understanding. He led with patience and calm, even when disappointment could have easily taken over. That quiet strength defined his fatherhood, not just with Ryan, but also with Emily and Allison. Robert celebrated their smallest victories like they were red carpet wins. In his eyes, every moment in their lives deserved applause. Even near the end, when cancer had taken so much of his strength, Robert still found ways to show love. Just days before Allison's 4th birthday, barely able to stand, he played with her. That moment, like many others, lives on in the memories his children still carry. Robert's battle with cancer wasn't a single storm, it was a relentless series of waves. Diagnosed 3 different times over 6 grueling years, he endured countless rounds of chemotherapy, surgery, and radiation. Each treatment drained him, but never defeated him. His hair fell out, but not his hope. Even while ill, he traveled the globe as host of On Assignment for National Geographic, bringing stories to life while his own story was one of survival. When the cancer returned during Ryan's final year of high school, it came back fiercer than before. By then, Robert's body had become so fragile that even riding in a car was painful. Ryan, still a teenager, took the wheel with extreme care, dodging potholes and cracks, trying to spare his dad from every possible jolt. In April 2002, just as Ryan was studying biology in college, his father passed away. That helplessness, watching someone he loved suffer and not being able to stop it, changed everything. Ryan chose a new path, one rooted in purpose. He became a doctor. Today, he works as an infectious disease specialist in New Mexico. His sister Emily also found her way into medicine, now serving as an emergency room nurse. Their careers weren't just choices, they were tributes. Each day, they honor the love, the lessons, and the legacy their parents left behind. But what do you think happens when a father's quiet strength shapes his son's destiny most unexpectedly? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.